Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with all bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for not being part of my kid's life? From 18 to 25, I was an absolute wild child. Lots of beer and lots of hookups where we didn't even know each other's names. I was dealing with lots of damage, to the point where I don't even remember most days years. Now at almost 40, I'm much better now, with therapy and AA and my saint of a wife. But that's the important background. I was clear with my wife that it's quite possible I have some kids out there somewhere, though a lot of the women I slept with I have no way of contacting to be sure. My wife budgeted in some savings for if we ever have to pay child support for a couple of kids, but just asked that I get a paternity test before we welcome them in. We have no kids of our own, don't really want any. Last year, a 16-year-old boy contacted me, saying that I was his father. We'll call him K. K claimed to be the son of one of my old classmates, and that his mom had raised him by herself because she didn't want to cause any trouble. But she had told him about me, all the time, and he had spent a lot of his life Googling me. He'd finally worked up the courage to contact me, and asked if we could meet. Since I can neither confirm nor deny sleeping with his mother, I agreed to meet between our two towns, me driving about 5 hours and him driving about 45 minutes, though I did tell him about my wife's request. He was fine with it. We met after the kid got here. He did the spit thing, gave it back, and we sat, talked, had lunch, and drove back home. We were not a match. I had my profile done a while ago, just so it was out there in case any kids found me that way. But Kay and I are not related. I contacted him, gave him all his data, and let him down gently. He was devastated, crying, claiming it wasn't real, that he had spent his entire life idolizing me, that I had to be his dad. He begged to have a relationship, but I'm not entirely interested in building one with a random child. I apologized again, but left it at that. His mom reached out, begging me as well, saying that she was so sure I was the father, that it's destroying him not knowing who his dad is. I said it was a real shame, but that father isn't me. I'm not dad material, especially not for someone else's kid. This just came up in a convo recently, and sparked an argument. Some say it's fine, others say it was cruel to abandon a kid who spent his entire life believing he was mine. Am I the a-hole here? Nah, you are right in not wanting to be a part of a kid's life who isn't your own. But boy, do I feel terrible for that poor kid. Info: did you do a proper paternity test? You say paternity test, but then from your phrasing it sounds more like you are relying on an Ancestry one. I'm guessing from the profile remark? If so, those are not accurate or certified in any meaningful way, and they vary massively in quality. For anything this important, get a real test done. Am I the unreasonable one because I won't force my daughters to be nice to their new stepmom? Husband of almost 20 years cheated on me. He was sleeping around and got a girl who was 15 years younger than him pregnant. I left him when I found out. We have 2 kids, 12 and 11F. They know how to do math. My girls are not stupid. Mom and dad break up and they have a new mom and new baby brother 4 months later. I have not connected any dots for them, nor do I badmouth their father to them. Our custody agreement is they go to his house 2 weekends a month and stay with me the rest of the time. The girls don't like going to their father's house. I tell them they should go and spend quality time with their dad. They tell me they're always asked to change diapers. I brought it up to the ex that it's not my girl's job to do that. They said their stepmom gets mad when they don't want to look after new kids/change diapers. My ex has a 3-bedroom house, but my girls sleep in a room in the basement. They don't like that they can't relax on weekends. They say their stepmom isn't the nicest. Last weekend my younger one got her period and they didn't have pads. Usually the older one keeps pads in her bag, but didn't refill her bag since last time she had her period. She asked her dad for pads for her little sister. Ex told her to ask stepmom. Older daughter said she didn't want us, so she texted me and I drove over and brought her pads. My ex is pissed because I encroached on his time with the girls. I literally dropped pads and some treats, hugged my girls and made sure the little one was okay and said we will talk more tomorrow/call me if she needs anything. And I should have told my oldest to just ask her stepmom. I said I can't force my daughter to feel comfortable with her. I can't manufacture it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to tell my girls to have a relationship with their stepmom. I said this in private, not in front of the girls. Like I said, I don't badmouth them in front of my kids. Having a relationship with their dad is important, so I'm not going to jeopardize that because their dad screwed up. Am I the unreasonable one because I'm not trying to make their relationship better? It's not my job. My girls are smart, have minds of their own. They never heard it from my mouth that their dad cheated on me. But I don't think they're stupid. They probably have some idea. Not the unreasonable one even a little bit. But I can tell you from experience that they will be a lot happier if you give them permission to like her. Chances are they are stressing their little heads off whether you see it or not, and if you give them permission to be okay with her, it would alleviate a lot of the stress. They may still choose to hate her stupid face, but they will be making that choice for themselves and not for your honor. Not the unreasonable one. Your ex and his wife is making them change diapers and all things they aren't comfortable with. And YTF does your ex make them sleep in the basement? He has a 3-bedroom house which he can easily accommodate them in one of the bedroom. Your daughters will definitely despise their dad and stepmother. Am I the unreasonable one for being angry that my ex-wife named her new son after our late son? Throw away because I don't want this on my main. My 33 years old male, and my ex, Lena, 33F, fake name. We're married for 4 years. We got married at 18 straight out of high school and had our kid a year later. In hindsight, disaster waiting to happen, the marriage. We had a boy, Nathan. Nathan was stolen from us 4 years later. It ended us. I'm still in therapy. A few years after our divorce, we're now 26. She met Steve, fake name. Steve and Lena dated and eventually got married. I was genuinely happy for them both. When they got pregnant, I was thrilled for Lena. It reminded me of Nathan, and it brought back a lot of heartbreak. But I was really happy she was building a new family. I'm not there yet. Last week she gave birth to a boy and announced that she'd named him Nathan, officially, Nathan II, like you would with your pets. In a Facebook post, she put his photo next to her Nathan and wrote a tribute. But I just couldn't. I lost it. I called her up and demanded she change his name. That she had no right. There were a lot of words exchanged before I broke my phone. Not long after I received a call from my sister telling me I was an unreasonable person for how I reacted, and that I'm not respecting her grief. She's since gotten the family involved who are siding with my ex. My mother is insisting I should be grateful that God has given Nathan back to us. Worse, someone sent word back to my therapist who scheduled an emergency session for this afternoon. Everyone is calling me TA and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Edit to answer a few questions and some DMs. Our son was stolen from us by a driver ignoring school bus stopping laws. Now stop freaking asking. My ex and I were still close because we continued grief counseling together even after the divorce. We couldn't cope together under the same roof, and that led to the divorce. But we didn't hate each other. My ex and my family are still close because we've all known each other since we were kids. My sister was Nathan's godmother, and maid of honor at Lana's wedding. I won't change therapists because of this. I've been with her for many years now. She's one of my anchors. More information. A couple of you have asked about my breaking the phone and taking a call. I have 2 cells. A personal one, and one my work gave me. My work phone is dual, so I transferred the SIM card from my broken one. Update. I had a long session with my therapist and we're working on managing my hurt again. I feel like I'm back at square one. I don't know who notified her, but I have my suspicions. Right now, because of the pandemic, moving is not an option, but she's encouraged the idea of getting away. I know she meant more go to a cottage, but I'm considering uprooting my life and just leaving. I also found out that Lana had spoken to my sister about the name, who then brought our mother into the fold. They both gave Lana their blessings, and my mother made the promise to speak with me about it because speaking to me about Nathan is still a taboo subject. Obviously, no one ever spoke to me about it. I'm just so tired. Not the unreasonable one. I feel like perpetuating pain like this is not a good idea. It's clear she hasn't let Nathan go either. Just like you. I personally would never do this. People aren't reborn. They are gone when they are gone, and doing this just seems weird. I understand your frustration, not to mention this may put unnecessary pressure on the child at a later date. Not the unreasonable one because your reaction is the right one. That poor kid will forever be compared to your child who passed. My mother is insisting I should be grateful that God has given Nathan back to us. No, just no. This isn't how life works, and just reinforces my point. It's already started. The only good part of this post is the emergency therapy session. This has to be incredibly traumatic for you, and I am sorry that not only are you being forced to go through it, but that what should be your support group is invalidating your feelings on the matter. Am I the unreasonable one for telling my ex I'm not going to be an ally? Basically, we were together for 10 years and she came out as a lesbian last year. It was a difficult thing to deal with, and not gonna lie, I'm still struggling. but we have remained in contact mainly because we share custody of our senior dog. I wouldn't consider us as close as we used to be, but we get on. We were talking the other day and she was talking about Pride in a nearby city having a local celebration, and because she missed the one where we live in lockdown, she was wanting to go to it. She asked me what I'm doing and would I go? I said no. Everything isn't as safe as I'd like. She said it was just an excuse and something like if you were interested in being a good ally and a friend to me, you'd want to come. I was really pissed off by that and said I'm not interested in being your ally, sorry. Go with your mates or something. She made her excuses and left, but seemed really upset. But later on that day, her girlfriend emailed, calling me a piece of crap. Then my cousin called me. It turns out they're also still in touch and she said I should do it because it sets a good example. Her son is gay and he would find it amazing if people in the family he looks up to like me set such an example. I made my excuses and hung up. I mean, I don't see what I've done wrong. My ex split up with me, and we have to be in contact because of the dog. But I guess she considers us closer friends still than I do. I'm not outgoing and I'm an introvert naturally. The thought of going out scares me to death. Am I the unreasonable one for how I dealt with it? I'm bi. Your ex made being an ally conditional on doing a specific thing. She doesn't get to decide the terms of your support. And she's definitely not entitled to you going to a parade with her ex. During a pandemic. Not the unreasonable one. Not the unreasonable one. You decided not to go because you don't want to, not because you have anything against the community. Am I the unreasonable one? I am suing my parents for trying to invade my wedding party. From the title, you may understand I'm 29 years old male, do not have the best relationship with my parents. I was mostly raised by my both set of grandparents, uncles and aunts because both of them were always on work trips together. They both worked as cruise guides, that's where they met, and they would leave for a month, come back for 3 days and leave for another one. I only remember a handful of times as the classic family portrait sitting, eating a dinner at my first 15 years. When I was 15, they decided to retire and manage a local tourism company with the support of my both sets of grandparents. Even then, they did not have shown interest in me. I would be off for a week without saying anything and they would not notice. They never showed up to any major events. The all other family members would be there though. At my last year, I have met with a girl 29 years old female. At my last year of medical 2015 school, we have become a couple and had a slow, but steadily building relationship. My family instantly liked her and she was the part of ours. Her family was also really warm against me. My parents did not show any signs of interest to meet with her until we had dated for 3 years and it was just a 30-minute coffee. We decided to get married and with that announcement my parents have become the nosiest people I have ever known. My mom has started to call what we were planning for my big day. My dad was talking about the responsibilities of being a husband and a dad like you really have ever been one, etc. The truth is, we were only planning a courthouse wedding for the families and then have a party with our friends and cousins. I told them this and they were furious. They tried to pick fights with us for 3 weeks by calling us, trying to visit us, mocking every relative alive including my in-laws. After not seeing any interest, they stopped. In July 2019, I got married. They have come, sit in the background. My grandmothers were the one in the aisle with me, just said congratulations and left. In our wedding party, we were originally planning just to include our friends and cousins, but her uncle has a big farmhouse, literally a mansion, so we have invited 100 people plus our families except my mom and dad. While we were at there chilling before the party, my dad have called me and it was only friends. He said, "How can you exclude your parents? We are coming and we are not gonna leave." He was mad and I have informed the security of the house to not let them in and to call the cops if needed. They tried to bust in with their car by trying to break the gate and they were arrested for the night. We also have gotten in row. The case is non-urgent so it is going to be seen this year, but all of our family says we are going too far for pressing charges on them. We do not think so and it is causing a fight between us and our families, and as a personal reason, I want them to suffer from the loneliness and the sadness they made me feel. Am I the unreasonable one, dear Reddit? Added to the infos. I am not from an English-based country and I am from the EU. I am half Turkish and half French. Bonjour mes amis, hepiniz merhaba. I have to open the court if I ever want to have a permanent row. I also work with an attorney who is experienced on the issue and it is mostly certain that they will take a minor jail detention, which it will probably be turned to a fine, and there is nothing as civil or criminal court if there even is a damage on the property at France. This event happened in France. I can get a negotiator though and it seems the more legit way. If we did not rent the place from her uncle, which we rented for €2.5, but there is a legal paper so it is rented, he would be the one to open the court, but technically, I have rented the place for the night so it shall be me. Also, they broke the door and gave some damage to the property. We have pressed 2 charges on them, harassment and damage on the property. They broke the door and gave some real damage to the shed of the gardener. I am not going to act as a good guy. I want vengeance and I know it is petty, but I want it. I want them to pay for what they have done and I want them to suffer in front of my eyes and I want to be the one who will give the pain. I have some negative sides and I can be really vindictive. I am in therapy though since medical school and it is really helping me to accept that side of mine. I had some traumas and therapy really helped me to embrace them and use it to my advantage. I know this might be a real unreasonable thought, but I can't help feeling it. I want to step to the court, puke all my anger, wrath and vengeance on them in the public then leave. I dream that moment to come. Also, my parents do not engage with the larger family not that much, except funerals and weddings. It is a real rare thing to see them. I know they my big family, want the best for all of us, but I can't want the best for my parents. I just can't. Update. So, turns out I am not the only one in the family who is in this sub. One of my younger cousins is also active in this sub and he has seen this post. He called all of the family and in an hour, they have made a surprise visit on our house. We cried, I cried, they cried, all of us cried. Also my in-laws were also there. We live 5 minutes away from them. They said they were afraid of me that I will act in a harmful way to myself, my parents and them. With the character limit it is hard to express all the story, but my nickname was Devil le Diable en Francais. At middle school due to uncontrolled anger flashes and violent fights I broke someone's ribs by knocking them down and crashing their chest with a chair. My wife knew all of this, but my in-laws were a little shocked with this info. But they got over it. They understand I am a different person now. Also my father-in-law is not the best person with the anger management either. I thought I have left a lot of part of that behind myself, but it looks like I did not. The court has to be seen still, but I won't be there. My attorney will be there to represent me and that is gonna be it. In the court day though, I will be at a camping site, trying to find my inner peace. We are all on board for an row, but I will find another way to satisfy my desire for revenge and I will try to live my life. I need to move on. Thank you guys. Also my wife knew toxic mother-in-law, but we hope we won't need it after the court. I just want this to pass on and open a new page. The court is 23 days later. I will try to post an update here. Au revoir mes amis. Update. Final. So, I thought I would update you after the court, but some stuff happened. They have tried to invade to our house while we were at work. In September 3rd, we were called by the police, saying that our alarm system alerted them and they have found my mom in the car waiting and my dad trying to escape with all of the legal files according to the court. They have tried to reach all of the family, but no one opened their calls as normal. They have invaded the house to take our papers about the court. I don't know what it will give them still. Since they have invaded our privacy and broke their temporary row, court will press charges and they are currently in home detention with electronic cuffs. They both have chronic issues so prison is not the best option in this state of world. Also, you were right. I have started more rigorous therapy sessions and got a month off from work to get myself on the feet. I have issues so much and deep and it is surging, but I am gonna be fine. My wife has become my greatest support and my family is helping me on everything. So, that is that. Not the unreasonable one. They tried to hijack your wedding. They are hijacking your family. What happens when you have kids? Stick with your gut. Not the unreasonable one for the row or making them pay for the damage, but it's worrying the way you talk about revenge. It's not revenge, it's the consequences of their actions. If you make it revenge you're only hurting yourself. I'd really recommend therapy. Your parents are never going to think they're wrong and you won't get the satisfaction you're looking for. Am I the unreasonable one for giving away a pet dog my friends got me? Throw away. Of course, some backstory. I am absolutely terrified of dogs and I generally dislike them for a few reasons, which include being attacked and being sensitive to barking. Okay, story time. For my birthday, my friends said they had a big surprise for me. Knowing them I've become really wary around surprises. Turns out the surprise was a new pet, a dog. Now as stated above, I'm really not a big fan of dogs at all. They know this. They know I'm generally very wary around them and I get startled easily being around them. I do my best to stay composed and refrain from any comments and knee-jerk reactions, but I most definitely keep my distance. I don't think I've shared my whole childhood trauma around dogs, but I've made it pretty clear I don't necessarily enjoy their presence. My friends have always egged me on about how annoying and lousy my behavior is, how there's nothing for me to fear and that I shouldn't be acting this way. I agree. I think it's about time for me to move on with my trauma and leave it in the past. I've been looking for ways to get help, It's just a very difficult process and needs a lot of time and effort. I guess while I was talking to them about this, they thought it would be a good idea to speed it up? Not sure. But long story short, they agreed on getting me a dog. I was surprised, to say the very least, and quite terrified. I mean, FS sake, what am I supposed to do? I'm not equipped to handle a dog at all, with my current mental health as well. No way I could meet all her needs and take care of her by any means. I did my best to put on a good front and be happy, but I quickly brought up how I just don't think having a dog right now is a good time. I thanked them a ton and asked them if they could take care of her in the meantime while I was getting myself together so that I could properly prepare myself and do my best to look after her. Immediately got faced with a ton of "no, she's your pet, you take care of her," and generally lots of unhappy comments. Not fun. I'll admit, I sucked up and brought her home. It was absolute hell. I could barely handle anything for a single day. I called up my friends again and made it firm I'm unable to do this. Same result. So, I ended up contacting a close family member and asked for some help. They immediately accepted her and she ended up becoming their dog. Fast forward a little bit, my friends non-stop prodded and poked at me about how she was doing. I immediately turned around and gave them the answer straight up. I could not look after her by any means, so I gave her away to one of my family members, who absolutely loves her and is taking good care of her. They were incredibly furious. Needless to say, I screwed up big time. Non-stop harassment, rumors, drama, all that bullcrap. They said they bought her for me, and I'll say that is very true. I just couldn't take care of her. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, holy crap, I did not expect this many replies. Thank you guys so much for all the advice and more. I spent my whole day reading through every single one of your replies. I actually did end up following some advice. I ended up dropping my friends for good. It was a long and tiring argument, but at least it ended well. Extra good news. I was able to set up a therapy appointment after 3 months of waiting. Road of recovery, here I come. Extra good news. Doggo is doing very good so far. She's very happy and comfy in her loving home. More information. Forgot to mention, thank you so much for opening my eyes up on the situation. I had so much guilt and stress from that whole mess and I couldn't help but feel like such the a-hole in the whole scenario. I'll definitely be making better friends. To even slightly. You should never buy someone else a pet unless you absolutely know they want it and will care for it. Probably only if they were your partner and they'd bugged you about getting said animal for ages, that sort of thing. To buy a high-commitment pet for a friend who not only has expressed an unease around the animal and not expressed that they want one is a bad irresponsible move. Maybe they wanted to help you, but they went about it the wrong way and now they are being asked to you for fixing their mistake. Not the unreasonable one. WTF kind of friends are those? Not only do they disrespect your boundaries and give you a pet you are completely unprepared for, but they refuse to help you with it when you needed it. And starting drama? I'd say go no contact. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.